What's going on, y'all? My name's Tyler. I'm a filmmaker based out of Charleston, South Carolina. This video, real quick, I'm going to talk about balancing the Blackmagic Pocket camera, either the 4K or 6K. It'll be the same on a gimbal. And I'm going to use the DJI Ronin-S and the FeiyuTech AK2000 as examples because that's what I have on me, and so I can talk about kind of the different ways of balancing on those camera or the gimbals, and just a little bit of differences between the two. But in general, as a general rule of thumb, this should work with pretty much any of those one-handed gimbals out there. But these are the only two gimbals that I personally have. So unfortunately, if you have questions about the other gimbals, I probably won't be able to answer those questions just because I have no experience using them. So you can see here the camera is kind of fully rigged out, and it's not going to be like that on the actual gimbal, obviously, but I wanted to show you kind of why I have it rigged out like this. Now, I'm not going to go over all the bits and pieces. I've actually made a video on my Pocket 4K rig with all of this, and nothing has changed except for one piece, and that's the cage itself. And that's really the reason why I'm able to balance the camera on the gimbals. So the cage itself is a small rig, and I can't remember the model number, but I'll leave a link in the description to it. And this is the cage that kind of allows you to slide the camera in and out of the actual cage itself instead of having to remove the cage from this rig. And once I take it out of the cage, you'll kind of see why it's so nice to have. Now that the camera is out, this is what the camera looks out of the rig. And it's pretty bare bones, and this is, you know, pretty much if I'm going handheld, like walking through town, walking through the city, whatever, this is how I have it. I just look like another tourist with a DSLR, and in fact, I even put a camera strap on there and just made myself look even more tourist. So it was pretty awesome. So, but the kind of the bones of this, kind of the heart of this whole way of mounting the gimbal is this tripod plate. The benefit of this little tripod plate is other than being able to slide this into a fully rigged out setup like you just saw, but it has these threads on the bottom, and this guy right here, this 1/4-20 threaded adapter right here, is actually what is enough to offset any of the quick release plates for the gimbals to be able to mount it onto the gimbal. So I'm just going to show you how I do it on right now. We'll start with the Ronin-S. So for consistency's sake, I like to just kind of have this flush with the back of this tripod plate. It just helps with consistency. As you can see here, what I do is you just slide it on. And first thing I do is just try to get a quick balance back and forth. The next, get this guy all balanced. And you just leave the other, this balancing point and this arm right here, keep those the same. And you just have to have the two balancing points, left to right and front to back. You just have to get those balanced when you put the gimbal on, and it doesn't take that long at all. So yeah, that's the whole setup on Ronin-S. And with the gimbals in general, because the camera doesn't have a cage or anything on it, just keeps a much more lighter setup, and it's just much more comfortable to run for a long period of time. And if you've seen my other video, you can run 12-volt out of this to power the camera off of the battery grip here. If you want to know more about that, I'll leave a link to a video that I did about that. But yeah, that's the whole setup here. It's really easy to balance, and it runs perfectly. So I'm going to jump over now to the AK2000 gimbal from FeiyuTech, just to show you that it balances just fine on that gimbal as well. So on the AK2000, you can see this tripod plate here has three mounting points, I guess you would call it. I use the furthest one to the front. It just keeps it as close to flush with the back of this tripod plate. And that just means I'll be able to slide it a little further back for balancing, especially for heavier lenses. And this wing nut is actually nice. And actually, when I was using this on my trip to England, because it was set far enough back, if it was ever getting too loose, I could actually tighten it using the wing nut on the gimbal without having to pull out a coin or screwdriver or something like that, which I usually never had either one of those on me. So with the AK2000, because Unfortunately, this plate doesn't slide left and right like it does on the Ronin-S, but fortunately enough, it is wide enough to slide the pocket camera on. Because, again, it's offset on that plate for the small rig, it's offset enough for it to slide in and out perfectly. So, again, just balancing. Now with the Ronin-S being able to slide that left and right, you get a little bit more precision with the balancing. But with the AK2000, I found that this was balanced enough, although it doesn't stay where it should be, at least it kind of returns to zero, and this is kind of the most common spot for it to be when you're actually running the gimbal. It really didn't drain battery all that much. I would run it for an entire day hiking, and I was not even halfway through battery life on the gimbal. So definitely balance as well. It balances this way, stays put, all that good stuff. I use this setup on my trip to England, and I actually deliberately chose to take this gimbal over the Ronin-S because this camera, this gimbal just packs down so much smaller than the Ronin-S. And as you can see, it runs the pocket camera just fine without any need for counterbalance weights or anything like that. So yeah, pretty simple video, pretty boring. Hopefully some of the B-roll helped make this a little less boring. Bottom line is, for me, I love being able to use this little tripod plate on the bottom of the camera, because I can not only go from having just a really small setup walking about town, I can also mount this onto a Manfrotto like a 701 or 501 tripod fluid head on a smaller set of tripod sticks, and tuck it away in a corner because it's so lightweight. And I can put this, run this right into my little cage rig with the V-mount battery and stuff like that. So a lot of versatility. This isn't the only way to balance, obviously, to the gimbals, but this is kind of the most versatile and quick, rapid pace way for me to switch from, tripod to cage to gimbal, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Hope you found that useful. If you did, definitely hit that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. And let me know in the comments below what gimbal setup you use with your Pocket 4K or 6K cameras. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time. Peace.